Hi. I'm actually doing this presentation in place of our chairman for the GLA, Jan Denneman. He couldn't be here for this occasion, so he asked me to do the presentation in his behalf. And because he's not here, I'm going to do this. Oops, sorry, I went a little too fast. Okay. So for full disclosure, and that's why we always do that, because GLA is part of the whole, all the different world trade organizations. We have to disclose, what we're involved in, so you know what I'm saying. I have my own particular bias. EMCO Solera is involved with a lot of street lighting. We do both LED and induction, also plasma lighting. CMNG Capital does ESCO projects, PFI initiatives, very similar to what is being promoted here now with ESL. Also with the Global Lighting Association as a board director on behalf of the Taiwan Fixture Association. So what is the Global Lighting Association? That will be the first part of my presentation. The Global Lighting Association is a grouping of all the peak national, regional lighting associations representing over 5,000 manufacturers altogether and about over 65 billion actually in sales. This includes obviously Alcoa from India, Abilux from Brazil, NEMA from North America. We have a new observing member from Middle East, the Taiwan Lighting Fixtures Association, the CALI from China, the Lighting Council from Australia, JALMA of course from Japan, KILT from Korea, and also last, Lighting Europe for Europe. Now, these are basically a graphical presentation of the members around the globe, and you can see, obviously, we don't have more representation from, the Middle East side or Russia or Africa, and we're working on to get more people also from the Southeast Asia region. Now, GLA supports the creation of new opportunities in the lighting sector. We're looking into the socio-economical trends, demographical trends, and we look into what are the paradigm shifts towards, intelligent LED lighting systems, and of course, what the role these technologies, new technologies, can play in the changing world, and of course, for sustainability. Now, the status and trends of the industry right now internationally. Well, first of all, obviously, energy security, prices, and climate change. Energy efficiency is very, very high on the agenda of all the governments around the world. We look into demographic changes, obviously. There's a growing population in terms of not just population growth, but also in the age group. Also, there obviously in the consumer side, there's definitely individualization, where everything has to be tailor-made. Not just for what individual consumer tastes are, but also for the governments and the country's particular climate needs are. This, I think, is very similar to what was shown earlier in terms of the SSL performance roadmap. Definitely on the packaging side and the luminaire side efficiencies, we're seeing that LED is reaching to a plateau. But this will be important because lighting is still responsible for over 15% of all the electricity consumption all around the world. To have a more efficient light efficacy, actually, is definitely the trend. The other trend that we also see is not just in energy efficiency, but also in the use of controls. Okay, daylight controls, like what was shown earlier, will definitely help bring down energy consumptions. Also, communications, where the devices are connected across the internet, and then data can be pulled and collected and then analyzed. And then further on, you can write softwares, artificial intelligence on top of that. Then you have new innovative solutions springing out that can be used. Obviously, here we can see definitely, what are the potential savings when you employ good design. I think our colleague earlier definitely have shown that from his presentation. The world population is always increasing. Obviously, whatever we can save on energy consumption today will be used by the next generation of people. So this is not just about reducing our needs, but instead we're just matching what we're going to be using. This is about urbanization, where different parts of the world there's a trend towards concentrations back into the cities again, into urban areas, rather than in the past where the trends were, especially in the U.S., where people were moving to the suburbs. We're definitely seeing a trend back into the cities. Obviously, here you can see the biggest rise is in Asia, where more and more people are moving into cities, and new mega cities are being designed and built from the ground up, especially in the case of China, where there's already more than 30 cities that have more than a population of over 1 million people or more. And from that, of course, with urbanization, then you require even more energy efficiency. But the good thing is that could be done relatively easier than a suburb setting. We can definitely see that there will be more urbanization from here. On the very top bar, you can see in Asia will be the largest growth in terms of urbanization, also in Latin America and also in Europe. And this is basically a population vector. You can see from the border lines, that is the current population demographic. Okay, where it's a little bit fatter on the younger side, where the middle range is about 40 to 45 years old. And the solid colors are the projections for 2060, where that shift of the population goes up into a more something like a V shape. And then there will be requirements that will come out of this change in the demographic of the population. You will have more senior citizens, and they will have different needs for lighting. Okay, because their retinas will be operating at a different level than a young person will. And then that's where, new innovative lighting such as LEDs will have something new to contribute to the new lighting needs for these senior citizens. Similar trends, of course, all around the world. China is facing the same problems. The same problem is actually even more severe in Taiwan and also in Japan. So the opportunities here, population growth, we definitely need more energy efficiency systems. Intelligent systems will be the next big trend. Moving from rural to urban, we need smart city lighting systems. On-grid and off-grid lighting will be required. And of course, the industry can tailor-make their solutions for more different segments, niches that we don't usually touch before, like for hospitals, for nursing homes, for senior citizens, for indirect lighting, for schools, etc., transportation, outdoors. Of course, new applications in lighting is definitely something that we're always researching on. Grow lights, for instance. I think the very famous example will be from Japan, where I think it was National Matsushita that converted one of their old factories completely into an urban farm. And they use LED lighting inside, and they specified the specific spectrums, okay, for growing lettuce, for growing carrots and whatnot. And that's a new application in terms of lighting that we couldn't have done before. Obviously, aging population, different types of lighting, biological needs, and then also for their different spectrums that they use. Okay. So the future. The promise of LED, of course, is new thinking, like I've been saying. Undeniably, there's a contribution to a greener world. The reduction in energy consumption is definitely there. But LED also introduces intelligent. What I said in my presentations 2 days ago was there's 3 phases to a smart system. The first phase is you have to be digital. Okay, the change from analog into digital systems is the first phase. And once you've gone digital, then you have to get it connected. It has to be communicating data, it must be collecting data. And once you have the data, then you have in the software phase where you can start writing smart programs, smart artificial intelligence, and then create more solutions and more innovations from there. Lastly, towards a level playing field. This is something that I've been told by my European colleagues that we have to say this, reiterate this every time. Enforcement of regulations is very, very prerogative. This includes obviously intellectual property, anti-dumping policies, and also a enforcement of quality controls. CE is probably one of the best examples where it's a voluntary listing. And how do we enforce that all the importers are following the CE regulations? And there is discussions within Latin Europe that they will be introducing a more punitive and also a more stringent policing regulations coming out. Obviously, the industry is always supporting the government in terms of doing so. We provide a lot of our technical expertise. Obviously, Latin Europe also helps a lot with their pilot programs, and this is what I was talking about, immediate actions against the non-compliant programs. Right now, there's 4 countries. Obviously, France is one of them, Deutschland with Germany, and the Netherlands, and then H, I think, is... I have no idea where H is. Not my presentation. Okay. So better standardizations. In fact, one of the biggest roles of GLA is the communication of standardizations, and we want to create a harmonization of all the different standardization that's out there. And that was actually the first task that we did back in 2008. Where we provided all the different standards and codes that we have across all the different regions. But we feel that that wasn't enough, because that was all the old standards before the new LED standards came out. And then we felt that for LEDs, I mentioned before, they are a very different light source. They behave very differently from what the CIE was working with back in the 1960s. So there's a new standard that needs to be created, and of course the CIE is working very hard. There's actually 3 different task groups that is looking into a new way to define CRI, if we need to use CMS or even color space to define the light qualities of LEDs. And of course, it's not just the GLA, but also we need to involve all the different stakeholders, the governments, the institutes, the research people, the institutions. We all need to look into these together to see, what are the new standards, what directions we should take, what is really needed right now in the market, not just for the consumers, but also for the government needs. And that's why, let me just go back. This is standard parts office. So you have international standards from the CIE, from the IEC, from organizations like ZAGA. And then you have certification bodies such as the UL, Energy Stars, and Lighting Council. They'll have their CTIC. And all this has to be coordinated across different countries as well. Okay. So that's one of the roles that we play. Like I said earlier, we need to know all the stakeholders that we have, and we need to address and communicate them very extensively. I'll get back to the last point. Here we, of course, the GLA connects with Enlighten, which is a UNEP organization that's looking into how well a country is developed in terms of energy efficient lightings. We have an MOU signed with the CIE. We work very closely with the IEC, also GUGLA, which is the Global Off-Grid Lighting Association. There's also, of course, the IEA with the International Energy Association, 4E with the SSL Annex. And obviously, our chairman, Jan Denneman, is also the chairman for ZAGA. So we work very extensively with these different groups to create these, to communicate about the new standards. I can't say create. So the major takeaways from my presentation, if I haven't gone through it too fast, external factors that impact on the lighting industry are always creating new ways of looking at things and create new opportunities. But LEDs are not the only disruptive factor. When LEDs came out, it was actually very slow in generating interest and in generating confidence. But now, as we can see in the past 3 years, it's exploded completely. And of course, it was pointed out earlier that it's the price parity there. But from the GLA's point of view, we think the transition from analog to digital, to move into intelligent lighting, connected lighting, will be the big thing going forward. And it's not just LED, it's anything that comes with a digital ballast, such as your HID lamps, or inductions or plasmas. And all these light sources can be connected, and they can deliver lighting from a different value-added point of view. People always are looking for high-quality lighting. The technology these days are very, very much focused on just energy efficiency. But as you can see from earlier, the mood lighting, the quality of lighting is also very important. How you can design these buildings to provide a new aspect in terms of arts appreciation for biological needs, for growing, etc. These are new areas of lighting, the value added that we see. So we definitely need more promotion, more awareness, and more education on these new factors, and that's where we think the new markets will be. So, thanks. This is the Global Lighting Association website. There's a lot of publications that we put on these on the website, including a lot of position papers, white papers, and you can find them and download them from here. So, thanks.